Hey, welcome to another edition of Around Town on White Pine Living. Today I'm talking with Mary Kerner, super excited about it. She's doing great things in the community. So Mary, can you tell me about how you got here, your position in the RNDC?
Sure.
Okay.
So I think it's important to note that RNDC is Rural Nevada Development Corporation. A lot of people don't know that. And if I talk in acronyms today, you have to let me know because
Okay.
I'll try not to do that. So I grew up in Caliente, down in Lincoln County, and I was doing loans for a small bank there, and then went to Elko to manage. And I felt like I lost that contact with the customer.
Okay.
And that meant a lot to me. Mm-hmm. And so when this opportunity came up to come and work for a nonprofit to do non-traditional loans, really helping people realize their dreams, I took it and I moved from Elko to White Pine, and I've been here ever since. That'll be 15 years.
Wow.
So
awesome.
Yeah. So RNDC is a private nonprofit. We are headquartered here in Ely, even though we are statewide. Mm-hmm. So a huge geographic area from Jackpot to Laughlin and South Shore Tahoe to West Wendover. So wow. We cover a lot of area, excluding the city limits of Reno and Las Vegas. So we are probably the only agency headquartered in rural Nevada that actually does what they say they do,
okay.
Which is handle the rurals. We have a lending program and we have a housing program. The lending program does small business loans from $500 up to $250,000.
Okay.
Non-traditional. We used to require a bank turn down, but we're no longer considered a lender of last resort. We're more of non-traditional. So we can take different forms of collateral. We can amortize longer than regular banks can. Okay. Just because they're heavily regulated, it's a regulatory environment, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I think my banker friends would disagree.
All right.
So we have success stories here in White Pine County.
Okay.
For example, the Olive Board Cafe and Inn,
uh-huh.
the bed and breakfast, we have funded them. We did Wild West Grooming, uh-huh. And you know how busy they are. If you've ever tried to call and get your pet in that week, that doesn't work.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's good to see them busy. Dr. Senna, the dentist that came back and relocated here, grew up here, went and got his degree, came back, and providing a good service for the community. And let's see, Dr. Robertson, eye doctor, we helped construct his new facility there on Great Basin Boulevard. Mm-hmm. So giving that some more curb appeal and a more central location.
Yes.
But it does take away from downtown a little bit. And I know that a lot of people watching this will probably be like, we need people downtown. So it's kind of one of those catch-22s. But we are really successful in our lending program. We win awards for being creative and for helping people. We've done... since I've been at RNDC, I've grown the portfolio just over $15 million.
Wow.
And we have a less than 1% default rate.
Oh, that's excellent.
And going through that whole economic crisis, that's pretty huge. So
yes.
A couple months ago, I went to Washington, D.C. For one of our federal funding agencies, and they had me get up in front of all of these other non-traditional lenders, and they just asked me questions like for hours, just how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you mitigate this? And it was kind of overwhelming for a little while, but we're helping people in rural America, run the program properly. So that's good.
That is
so,
good.
Yeah. Wow. We're often referred to as the best kept secret in Nevada. So on the lending side. So anyways, we don't just do new business either. We do expansion, debt refinance, consolidation, equipment upgrades, modernization.
Wow.
Yeah, so
do a lot.
We do.
Yeah. And you're making a lot of good changes. So
yes, positive for the community, so that's good.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right.
And then our housing programs, we do down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. We have a homeowner rehabilitation program for safety and soundness issues in the home and handicap accessibility. And then we have a weatherization program to make homes more energy efficient.
So when you say homeowner rehabilitation, what's that look like?
So if there's lead-based paint in the home, we can go in and remediate that and do safe paint. I guess the easiest example is like crumbling steps going up to your house. That's a safety and soundness issue, especially for elderly or families with children. Okay. If you need to do handicap accessibility, putting in ramps, widening doorways, walk-in showers, handicap-style toilets with bars, things like that, to make things easier. Weatherization gets into more energy efficiency, as easy as hot water heaters, that are the Energy Star appliances, or as difficult as sometimes replacing roofs and windows and doors and things like that.
I'm sure you have a lot of people signed up for that. Is that right?
We do. We have a waiting list. Funds come in from different agencies, state and federal. So once we get them qualified, and then we have to wait for the home to be inspected by one of our housing inspectors, and they have to be certified, and that's quite a process as well. And then the contractor will come in and do an assessment of what it will cost, and then that has to go through an approval procedure, and then once approved, the contractor goes out and does the work, then it's re-inspected, and then they're paid. And so sometimes it's a very lengthy process. Like right now, we have a waiting list because there's not enough funds to do all the projects that we have.
Understanding that you are in charge of a lot of programs that are helping people with their homes, helping people start up businesses, you need a lot of funding for that. What are some of the places you get funding for that already?
Well, so for our housing, the majority of that comes through Nevada Housing Division, which is a flow through from HUD. And then we also have money through the CDBG program, which is the Community Development Block Grant, and that's awarded through the Nevada Commission on Economic Development through the governor's office. And so, and those projects are always vetted. It's a competitive process, and then the people that are reviewing those have to vet to make sure that you're doing what you say you're doing with the money and things like that. So we're often featured with success stories for them. So I think we're on the right track.
Okay, good. So talk to me a little bit about that you're trying to get money through FEMA for what was happening in Wells and Elko.
Right. So with all the flooding and things like that, the first thing that has to happen is it has to be declared a disaster area, state of emergency and a disaster area. So those designations come through different agencies. It usually starts like with your sheriff's office, and then with your county commission, agreeing and saying, yes, this is going to be a disaster area. And they send the declaration to the governor, who then can do that for the state of Nevada. And then for federal assistance, the President of the United States has to sign off on that as well. So last week, they did do that through Governor Sandoval and President Trump, and they did the counties over on the west side of the state, and Elko County was not included. So I don't know if that's because there were certain criteria that they didn't meet to be a federal disaster area or not.
I see.
But if you've been through there,
yes,
you can see kind of the issues that they're dealing with. So when FEMA comes in, FEMA typically deals with residential. And so in my world right now, the calls I'm getting are for assistance for the commercial side.
I see.
And so that doesn't really flow through FEMA. And then everyone always says, the magic thing, well, don't you have flood insurance? Well, yeah, but that only covers so much. And so insurance is good to have. Don't get me wrong, but there's still going to be a lot of things that aren't addressed that we're going to try to help with. So we're working with the Small Business Administration, and typically those always, because it's a federal process, and you know how long those things take. So typically that will take some time. So hopefully within the next few weeks we'll see that come through, so we can start doing some assistance up there as well. If
people wanted to learn more about the programs, or see if there's any way they could learn more, how would they get a hold of you? What could they do?
Right. So we're located here in Ely at 1320 East Altman Street. And then our phone number there at the office is 289-8519. And whatever program they're calling for, whoever answers the phone, just say, I need to talk to somebody about housing, and they'll get you to that right person, or lending, and they'll direct you to that right person as well. They can also send me an email. And it's pretty easy, Mary at rndcnv.org.